So good evening, welcome to the Donny Chain Gang, and more importantly, week one of the Tour de France. I don't know, like if you've been watching it like me, it's been absolutely amazing, and it's great to see riders who've been on the Donny Chain Gang out riding on the Tour de France. How awesome is that? People who we've ridden with through the winter, or rather you've ridden with and I've talked about through the winter, have been out there. Massive thing in any rider's life if they've got the opportunity to go and ride the Tour. And Connor doing a good job. Great to see so many people commenting on it, and commented on the Facebook page and on the Downing Cycling, the Donny Chain Gang page as well. Now we're going to be bringing you all of the action from France, but this time the aim is to finish just in front of one of our regulars, Bryce Smithy, on the highlights programme that's going to be coming out to you on your Sport and on GCN. But we are running a little bit close on time because we, of course, are in France for the Chain Gang as well. So, faster than speeding bullet, let's jump across to the one and only, the man that leads the whole thing. It is going to be Russ Downing. Russ, how are you doing?
Oh, we made it. Not bad.
It's not bad to see. We talked in the car. I was driving the car and I had Emma, who rides the Chain Gang with me, and we were talking, weren't we, at about 5:15, and I was in the middle of the Peak District at that point in time, but we made it back, and we're live, and we're in France. That's got to be the fastest travelled across the channel ever, I think, just about.
Yeah, we're in some weird shaped car park in France with a few things around us, but yeah, we're doing the how do you pronounce it, the Casse. What is it, a 20 something K lap, so we're doing 2 laps. So we've got a little rollout from the car park area here. So yeah, we got a climb, a 2.7 climb, which fits with a lot of those climbs that were there at 30K to go on the Tour. They were little stinkers, so we're going to do 2 of them today, and then drop down 3, I think it's 3K, then down to the finish. So yeah, it should be a good little evening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. It's longer than our average distance. And of course, we've got the extra Matt's commentary block on the end, haven't we? So we don't finish at the blue banner for anybody who's riding live. We do finish at the finish line, which is at the Marina sprint line after lap number 2. So it's 2 full laps, and we finish at the Marina sprint line rather than maybe the blue banner that comes up, the blue ghost banner. And that literally gives me time and commentary to jump back, because we don't just feature the riders at the front, we want to feature all of our riders. And Russ and I have been busy reading about those stories about people's improvements as part of the 1080 Oakley August, that we've got to pick somebody, the most deserving man. But Russ, there's a lot of people there that we could give those Oakley shades away to, isn't there?
Yeah, like so we've both had a busy bank holiday weekend, so we've been squizzing through them, and I think we're nearly there. A bit more work on it tomorrow, and we should be able to nail down one. We want to read the stories, like you said, not just drag someone out of a hat. We want to read the story and then read it again and see if we missed anything, and see. Give a great set of Oakleys to a deserving winner.
Yeah, definitely, and that's got to be the plan. I think that makes sense to me. So let's do that Thursday. In the meantime, Casse today and RGV on Thursday. This is week 1 of the Tour. Does this mean, Russ, that we're going to have 3 weeks of French courses, or would that just be a little bit of overload?
I don't know. We can do, for me, we can go where we wish, Matt,
Yeah.
But, it's just a matter of seeing where everyone wants to go. We can go anywhere really, apart from Bonsu, because I don't really want to ride up that.
It is the most boring climb in the world ever.com on Zwift. I have to admit, I've done it twice now, and I just no, give me the Alpe d'Huez or Alpe de Zwift or anything else other than that. It isn't. Don't think it's going to be conducive to everybody getting good personal best times or anything. Maybe as a special one day when we're feeling particularly sadistic, we maybe have to do that at the end of the winter, just as a one-off.
Yeah, like you say, it doesn't link into what we're trying to do here with the Donny Chain Gang. Get everyone moving forward as a blob, as a group, call it what you wish, and it would literally just be like bodies everywhere, sheep on a mountain, call it what you wish. So don't really fancy it.
No, makes sense to me. Well, listen, we've got just over 2.5 minutes left to the start. I know you're currently kicking out a reasonable amount of watts, but I'm sure you're going to want to get warmed up properly. So thank you very much, Russ. We might get in touch part way through, so don't make sure you keep listening in. And let's show everybody where we're going to head.
Okay, Matt. Cheers, mate.
So Russ Downing there, and we are going to head across to the map now. First of all, I'm sure most of you have seen this when you've been out riding on Zwift and had a look on Zwift Insider. Zwift Insider with the interactive map. As you can see, our little blue dot just working its way round the loop there, and it goes out towards the Mont Saint-Michel on the flat 12 kilometres of course. Absolutely pancake flat. Then the first thing that we're going to encounter on our way round this is actually, we work our way round, you go basically through the flat section of the French map. You go through past with Mont Saint-Michel on the left-hand side, which you should be able to see. We go through and up past the sea. We go past the sunflowers, as you'd expect in France. We go through a quick pavé sprint, which is a cobbled sprint on the way in. We then make our way from that cobbled sprint up onto the climb. Now, the first climb on the way through is actually a little bit of a stick. It's the Aqueduct KOM reverse. So the Aqueduct KOM comes with it from both sides onto the aqueduct. And it's a very nice aqueduct too. Coming across, we're doing the reverse, what's known as the reverse one. So we have the pavé sprint just after 10k, and that's a 330 metre sprint running in on the pavé. Then coming in just at about 12.5k, we're going to go hit into the Aqueduct KOM reverse. It's only 400 metres long. Really short climb, 5% gradient, so it's pretty steep, so it could split the group if we're not careful. Then onto the Petite KOM. Now this is 2.7k, it's 4% average, but it does step. Remember, Casse actually means leg breaker, to break up the rhythm, to break up the ride, and that's exactly what this could do. And this means everyone's going to have to be really attentive on the way through. From the top, we then drop straight off the side and we drop down. Now, the course is 23k, as Russ said. We're going to do 2 laps, and there's a little bit of lead in and a little bit of lead out. The lead in is 0.9k. We've got 2 laps at 23 kilometres, and that means that at 46.9k, in theory, we're going to be right the way back round and at the finish. And we're going to start and finish at the Marine Sprint. For those of you collecting Zwift points, which you need to get all of the goodies in the garage, 460 XP for getting round this Zwift points on the way round. Let's show you the profiles. Our riders just start to head out on course. As you can see, the start line is down just about off the drop off the high point as you work towards the bottom of the Velo Viewer graphic here. This profile brought to you by Velo Viewer. The amazing guys, absolutely all the teams in the Tour de France are using this stuff. They have a graphic like this for every single stage and every climb. It's absolutely critical in this day of getting at the absolute maximum amount of teams that this is on their computers, in their cars and on their route map. So we run down towards just above the Velo Viewer name there on the graphic, right down in the bottom corner, down at the bottom there. That is a little run round by the side of Mont Saint-Michel. Then start to work our way round. The first little bump you can see, that is the Aqueduct KOM. You come at it, so we're going to be going around in a clockwise direction, and that means that we come at it on the reverse, and then we go up and over. Now, as you can probably hear, our riders are up and riding. They're heading round out through the marina. They're going across the pavé, and they're going to head out towards Mont Saint-Michel. And they're then going to go round over the aqueduct and then onto the Petite KOM, which is the big hill that you see there. It's almost the same from both directions actually on this course, having ridden both ways, and it feels very similar. More twists and turns the way we're going, which makes it a slightly more interesting climb to go up at the end of the day, before dropping back down to the Marina Sprint. So we're going to do at least one full lap, once through Marina Sprint. Normally we'd let people go at about 15k to go. We're going to see where Russ is going to say that this time. It may be that he lets it go on the climb up to the Aqueduct KOM. It may be that he goes on the second time up the Petite KOM. It's going to depend on how all those riders are riding together, and that is going to be absolutely critical. Now, Our riders are pretty much underway. We're going to get across and get our eyes on Russ. So remember that profile? Our riders up and riding, heading out, and Russ, as you can see, just making his way on the straight there. So don't forget, all this brought to you by Zwift. All of this helped out by our sponsors, Russ, Dean and myself, doing all this free. We're basically getting you all of this coverage as well as getting you the rides for nothing. Basically doing it, just keep all of our riders together and all of our mates in cycling on the bikes and out and riding. So great to see the guys heading out, and they're just about to come out onto the marine. So let's get out there, let's get those views in France, and let's get you right into the heart of the action. So here on the Donny Chain Gang, we're watching Russ Downing in the white with the yellow beacon up above him. In the midst of this pack, our riders just making their way out from town. They've come through town through the marina, and as you can see, it's looking pretty Gruppo Compacto at the moment. Looks like pretty much most people managing to stay together. One or two riders just being distanced. A relatively small group today. May well be that the actual course is tough, people, but it has been an absolutely glorious day out there. I think there's quite a few people taking the chance to get maybe one of their last rides in the real world. So our riders out and riding. Just one rider just dropping off the back at the moment. We're going to go take a look. And this is one of the team riders. It's Angers, who's just off the back here, riding from Barnsley. Just currently about 7 seconds on the group, trying to kick out 2.6 watts per kilo. So let's see if anybody's going to go back for him. Looks like Simon Oxenham could be dropping back. So the man from Barnsley Road Club at the moment, just off the back here. And he's got the kit, so he's clearly been on Zwift often enough on his way round. So he's definitely got the gear. Let's see if he's got the idea. He's going to try and get himself back on again. Just in front, you can see Simon Oxenham, who looks like he's dropping back. Here he goes back. He's just dropping back for him. Kicking in the power there. You can see Oxenham just starting to pick it up. And he's going to work his way around. If we take a view from Oxenham's viewpoint, you can see him just coming up onto the wheels. So just dropping back to give a little bit of draft on the way back. Looks like Nicholas Cook's dropped off the pace a little bit. Just dropping near the back. Phil Pearce doing the same. Our regulars out here. Great to see Sturm McInnes out here. And it looks like Phil Pearce is out and riding. Good to see. We've got a certain Mr. Bostock. Matt Bostock is back. Good to have you, Matt. Take a quick look at Matt riding whilst he's on the back. The man on the back there doing the business. Absolutely fearsome sprinter. Can climb as well. Saw Matt take some fantastic victories in the National Crit Series over 12 months ago now. So of course, because we've had less racing this year, but Matt Bostock riding well, and our riders on the way round. If we zoom out on the map, top right hand side, you can see we're just running our way across to the side of the course. We're just making our way out and around through the island, and at the moment our riders in one pretty big group. Looks like Phil Pearce just sitting near the back of the group there, trying to keep everybody swept up. There are some new names on here. We've got Dave Clark back. It looks like Rebecca Dawes back in again. Andy Hawes is with us. Gibbo's in. Craig Genter's back in. Good to see you guys. Dave Reynolds in. Jono once again. And this group holding together nicely. And I'm hoping that we're going to see a little bit of a compact group for a little bit longer maybe tonight. We've got a longer ride than normal. This is going to make things very, very interesting. Has everybody learned that the way to get the fastest time is to keep that pack together? You need the bodies as you head out and round now. Remember that profile, pancake flat, that 0% top right hand side of your screen is going to need to stay in there all the way around. And with some great views here, you can see these riders up on the edge of the coastline here, making the way around the side of France, and a fantastic vista here as these riders make their way in and around through France, these twisting, turning roads. Definitely reminiscent of some of the roads I've ridden in France, and I've always had a great time riding out there. I say I've always had a great time. I've got a kick in regularly, but that's kind of by the way. It's what you kind of expect. Now, good to see. I just think I've seen Mike Selkold in here. Mike, rider who I remember racing against and was always very, very quick. So he's in here. He's one of our newer riders. Good to see him. Taylor is in once again. Rick van der Gate's in. Good to see Rick in here. So Rick will on here and just riding strongly. We'll just take a little bit of a look up in the eye in the sky. So Rick is here, riding in the red and the white there, just trying to work his way up and around. We're just going to try and get a head-on shot. Very, very difficult with such a packed group at the moment. And he's sitting right in the middle. It's like Miller's in here for Fusion. Russell's in here. Carl Kapinski's in. Rich Orrell, Billy No Mates is in. Kent Brownlee's in once again. Andy Fraser is in as well. Haywood, good to see him back once again. Next, like plenty of these riders. Reed is in. He's definitely one of our strong sprinters. Altaf Hussein's in here. Paul Waddington back in again, and Andy Singleton as well. Now I know a lot of people are saying they've got their excuses in early of why it's going to be tough today. Plenty of people will be sat on beaches, etc., on the way through. But our riders at the moment are riding very, very strongly as they come in. 80 Dents just dropping them back there, just picking up Matt Bostock on his way back through, and Bostock just coming onto the back. If any of our riders don't start quick enough, they can drop off the back. I think Phil Pearce is doing his hovering at the back, helping the riders coming in, and more hot chili riders in. We're just waiting for Sven to grow a big enough pair to get himself into the ride. We'll see if that's going to be the case, if whether he can do exactly what the guys do. So at the moment it is all the group together, and that's what we want to see, the group staying together at the moment. Let's see if we can feature a few more of our riders on the way through here. Now, no Brian Stevens. Remember Brian, of course, working on the Tour de France, and great to see such fantastic coverage. Looks like Tom Parsons joined us. Good to see you, Tom. Tom, another of the riders. Yes, he is related to Alan, who regularly rides as well. And Tom, and now the faster of the two riders, just in here in the blue. We just try and get a little view of him. He's just in the dark blue of the rougher stage of the Tour, just working his way through, I think, on the Specialized bike there. And you just see him working down the side of Luke Stone there. Carl Kapinski in this group. Barry Kipling in and riding. It's really good to see Haywood is back once again. Lots of these riders are making this a regular thing, and of course that's what we wanted to see when we were looking at the Facebook page for the group, and see how people had got on and what it had done for their riding at the moment. Hayward sitting in wheel number 2, people coming through and off quite nicely as these riders come through. Matt Bostock just rolling up onto the front, doing 2.3 watts per kilo, 2.5, just making his way up there. And as you can see, these groups are just a nice compact group. But here we go up into the bumps now as we start to go over. It is designed to just break up the rhythm, and pretty much everybody is holding together nicely as we make our way through these twists and turns. You see Luke Taylor is here. Luke, of course, the man from 1080, responsible for the Oakley August. And if you missed it at the start of the show, don't forget, we'll be announcing the winner on Thursday. The reason we haven't done it today, it's quite simple. There's just too many fantastic stories to read, so many fantastic tales of just how much the chain gang has done. And as you can see, back in France now, we are alongside the side of the Mont Saint-Michel. And Mont Saint-Michel, although we don't need to go get on the mountain bikes on Zwift to get across to the island, as the riders start to make their way in and through. You can see we're going to be going over. There's two rivers that actually feed into the side of the Mont Saint-Michel here, and we're going to be going across that second one any second. The riders just starting to wind. We've got a little bit of a distance to go to the sprint, and the fat cyclist, he's gone on to the front with 2.2 watts per kilo, but it has to be said that the Fat Cyclist 100 kilos, that's 200 and some watts, and this is all about the power that you can kick out on the flat. Watts per kilo aren't as important as flat out watts on here. That's the critical section on the flat part of the ride here. Now our riders are just holding it together, just seeing McInnes at the back there. I think Mr. Rigby's back in with us again, good to see him back in. Barry Kipling so nicely rolling around in the middle of this group here. I think Russ just admitting to the one of the classic fashion faux pas of having no socks on as he rides around here, but I don't think everybody's suffering from that. It's usually when we get an update on Zwift, it's usually a sign that the update has come in and through. So once Michelle done and dusted with, we're going to turn our attention slightly further forwards. Just seeing Casse looks back in here. That's Michael Hutchins in the group. Great to see riding strongly once again up near the front of the group. Russ Dolby's back in near the front of this. So these guys are riding along, and interesting to see it's 2.3 watts per kilo. It's taking people to 0.4 out the front of the group if they're not careful, and that's going to be very, very tricky for some of the riders at the back. Our lighter riders are likely to suffer as they come in and round. We're just going to take a little bit of a look through. Good to see that Chris from the Alliance MTB is back with us. He's had injuries and he's back in the group. Welcome back, Chris. Good to see you. You can see how you get on when it gets a little bit hillier as we go up towards front. But all this group holding together nicely. Ryan Williams in this group. Craig McLean in here as well. As the riders continue onwards now. Not too long before we start to go up towards the sprint and into the climb. The first of our climbs, which is going to be the Aqueduct climb. It zigzags its way up. Here we go. We're not far away before we do the Aqueduct turn. Let's take a little bit of a look up. We're going to jump out if we can in a second, just to keep an eye on some of these riders on the way up. I think Matt Bostock may well be the rider we're going to try and jump in with, if that's going to take some doing today. Here we go, in with Matt, and remember the blob at the moment holding good. This the run in the climb up to the Aqueduct KOM is 400 meters to the Aqueduct KOM, and it's a little while off, but these guys now working their way up the side of the river. You can see it out to the right hand side, and at the moment this group is holding together well. Looks like one rider that could well be a Phil. We're just going to take a look back. Let's see if it is Phil Pearce, who is just rolling his way along at the back of the group as we move into the little zigzags. Yep, Phil Pearce it is, off the back of the group at the moment. 5 seconds off, but he's a rider who can get himself back in, no problems at all. Good to see that we've got Rebecca Dawes back in here once again. Rebecca sitting in the group. Let's see if we can get a quick view of Rebecca, who's riding in the light blue camo kit here. So looks like Rebecca Dawes for the Racing Female Development Academy, nicely in that group. I think I've seen Emma Collier and Sonia Innesley in here as well. Both of these riders are regular riders in the group. And we're just going to zoom back out and up on to the top here. So just see the pressures come on a little bit at the front here, and it's just stringing it out a little. Russ down near the back of the group here. Are we starting to see a few eager beavers? Maybe just feeling that they want to be a little bit nearer the front. Remember, if you want to get fastest time, doesn't matter whether it's a sprint, a King of the Mountains time, you need to have the draft up. My fastest time up Von Top was in one of the rides that was done as part of the Tour de France, virtual Tour de France stages. But what I did is I actually left it for about 3, if not 4 minutes to let the entire field get up in front of me. So about 3,000 plus riders in front. That meant I had 3,000 potential people to draft on the way through. And that meant that actually I very rarely saw the front of any group on the way from the back to the front. All I did was work my way to everybody else. And do you know what? I absolutely blatted a few riders and took a few scalps that day, just because, not because I'm a great rider, quite the reverse, because I played the game smart. Draft from the back to the front. Same works on the Donny Chain Gang. Fast riders Stuart McInnes sitting at the back there. Pat Cyclist will be rolling to the back. We know he will. We know that we're going to see Russ roll from back to front. We're going to see Phil Pierce roll from back to front, because that's the way to get a fast time on Zwift. Now, in towards the Sunflowers, and you can see we're just below the climb of the Von Top, the Mont Ventoux, as we make our way past the sunflower fields. You can see a number of riders just starting to drop back a little bit. Good to see you, Mr. Rigby's back on again. One of the people with a great story on that Facebook page. Lots of people telling us exactly just why the guys have done such a great job of riding. Now, we've seen lots and lots of our riders out setting PBs, hanging into chain gangs, keeping themselves the right side of sane by riding, and great to see the group riding so strongly. Now, another of our regulars in here, Andy Hawsey's back in once again. We'll see if we can drop in with Andy in a second. We've got to do a little bit of prediction where he is. There's Andy. So Andy will be in the white shoulders, the black centre, as we work our way in. Now, this is one of our sprints. This is the Pavé sprint coming up. And our riders are just starting to kick. You see one or two people going off the front here as they just head up towards the very front. I think our rider putting in the biggest kick at the moment. Going to refresh. I think it is Billy No Mates who's gone for it. He's gone to try and take a Pavé sprint reverse best time. Bostock though, doing it right. It's come from the very back of the group to the front. I'll tell you something, that has got to set a very, very quick time. Let's see where these guys are going to be as they come in and through. We're going to click into the group. It's Billy No Mates who's taking the time with the 22:30. Matt Bostock with a 26, and that's all about getting the pace right and doing, as we said, jump from the back to the front. Andy Hall's not taking part in that sprint. Andy knows the score on the chain gang. No need to rip it up, and I think there's going to be a little bit of a regroup now. Now see riders come through. Matt Bostock quickly rolling and backing off the pace. It's good to see Matt knows how it works. Dropping in to the group and really shutting those throttles off the second he went in and through the line. Almost took a parachute out the back on his way through, but riding it strongly on his way up through here and into the lavender fields. This is the section immediately prior to the Aqueduct KOM. So if we take a little bit of a zoom out, there we go. You can see the twists and turns, and you can just see the banner on the top left-hand side of the map. That's for the top of the KOM. Now this is all about the mini KOM. It's only about 400 meters long. As we just jumped in on one of our newer riders. This is Mike Salkel. Good to see Mike in here. I'm sure Mike didn't look like that when I was racing against him. That is for sure. So we're going to look after everybody on our way up the mini KOM. Mike Salkel riding nice and strong here, 2.9 watts per kilo. And we're just going to try and zoom out. Our drone being particularly twitchy today. Maybe it's just me post-ride having numb fingers. Certainly possible. So here we go. 5% at the moment on our way up here. Our riders working their way in as a group as they go up on to the climb. One or two hovering around the back. I don't think anybody particularly in trouble as we make our way up here. And just seeing this road spinning around. We're going to take a little bit of a look back. Just make sure nobody's having a hard time off the back. It could well be one or two people just being distanced a little bit. We're just going to take a little look and see where everybody is on the way through. I think a couple of people just a little distanced here, and I think that's going to be Sonia Innesley and Ian Russell, who are just off the back of the group. We'll just take a little bit of a look back as we come in towards the aqueduct here. So our riders on the way up, and if we give you a realistic view of just how steep this is, it's a 5% climb, and it levels out. I'm going to come around a right hand turn here, and it goes dead level, and we'll run it in as you'd expect underneath the old aqueduct here. And you'll see our riders will turn, take this 90-degree right, and the road will level out as they come in and around. So you go across, down into towards a 0%, and that means that it's a nice flat run in as our riders head across through underneath the aqueduct on the reverse aqueduct KOM. Now, just looking at the map, I think we have 4 or 5 riders just being distanced on the way round and through on that climb, on that section up through the aqueduct as they come through. Russ just sitting on the back of that group. So we take a look off. The group's going to need to come together. I think that blob is more of a long string, a long line at the moment, and as we head into this descent off the other side, prior to the Petite KOM, we are going to see a few people just struggling, I think, with the pace. We're just going to take a little bit of a look back and see where our riders are now. You can see Sonia Insley at the moment just distanced a little bit from that group on that climb. Sonia currently sitting a little way back. In front is Ian Russell. Russell must just be just up the road. Sonia just about to make her way up on to this aqueduct turn. I think we just see just going to be going underneath the gantry is Ian Russell. Now these two riders need to get themselves together, I think, if they're wanting to work. Russell already trying to kick up to try and get back with that group, but Ian Russell is 47 seconds behind the leading group. And if we take a little bit of a look back, Sonia Insley is in the distance behind here. So Ian Russell just working his way along at the moment off the back of the group. You've then got Phil Pearce and McInnes, who are just on the way back, trying to close down the gap. They've got Stuart McInnes up in front. So this is A. McInnes. Let's see who A. McInnes is. That's always good. There's lots of McInnes. That's what we always want to see. Both from Scotland, oddly enough. So it's Andrew McInnes is the first rider with Phil Pearce. Both riding in that Green Swift jersey. Phil, of course, riding for Hope Factory Racing. Struan in the blue, just dropping back, I think, to help out. So Phil Pearce and Andrew McInnes is currently 18 seconds behind Struan. Struan, a strong rider. Oxenham and the rest of the chain gang are currently at nearly 40 seconds up the road. And if we jump in with Russ, as we go diving up the road, we're going to go jump in with Russ in on that helicopter. You can see he's on his way out of the village. So Russ at the back of the group in a relatively long line. Smithson, Anderson, Matlock, John Oxenham, Struan McInnes, Phil Pearce, Andrew McInnes are all out of the back here. Now Phil and Struan are strong enough to get themselves back in, I think. But I'm not so sure about the rest, because that's going to take some doing. So at the moment, behind Russ are Beacon. We have a number of riders at a distance. This is the very back of the group. Oxenham is in there with Jono. So Oxenham riding very, very strongly here. This is the duo trying to make their way back. It's 6.3 watts per kilo. So Oxenham and Jono closing in on the back of the group as they go around the loop round the church here, and they're going to just about get themselves back on again. You can just see closing on the back wheels here of James Allen. So into the back of the group they go now. The next rider behind is Struan McInnes, just coming in to the church. Struan McInnes, Phil Pearce, Andrew McInnes currently spread between 26 seconds and a minute behind our group, and that has split the group apart. With Struan McInnes at the minute, he's working hard. 12 seconds behind him, we're in with Phil Pearce here. Phil now waking his way around the side of the church. He's going to need some help here, because even with Phil's pretty substantial power output, great watts per kilo, he's not the biggest rider, and that means that he isn't going to be fighting to get back on the group. He's going to have to do it as they go on to the Petite KOM. We're going to just take a little look back. I think Andrew McInnes is off the back here. Yeah, he's at 1.8 watts per kilo. He's got Russell and Insley behind. So Andrew, if you're listening in, just take a breather. Jump in with Ian, who's coming up behind. We're going to jump in with Ian Russell here. Ian trying to close that gap down now at 6-7 seconds between him and Andrew McInnes, and I think we're going to see Russell and McInnes come together. I think Sonia Insley's going to have to wait for a few more people to blow their socks off on the way through. Let's jump back up towards the very front of the group, back in with Russ now. So as we come into the group with Russ Russ, and now the helicopter just showing Russ at the back of the group here. Now Struan is not too far off the back of the pace, just making his way through. There he goes in the blue, shooting down your screen from the top right to the bottom left. So Struan McInnes has made his way in, but it looks like Phil Pearce is in a really dangerous position off the back of this group. So the bunch at the moment are all together. Behind the bunch, Craig Genther, Nicholas Cook are at 8 seconds. Hope Factory Racing's Phil Pearce at 11 seconds. Let's jump in with Hot Chili's Nicholas Cook. And you can just see you've got, looks like James Allen, Matt Bostock hanging on for them. There they come. This is a duo coming up onto the back of the group. So they've made it back. Struan McInnes is back in as well. Now we're going to take a little bit of a look off the back of the group just to see where everybody has got to. And certainly it looks to me like Nicholas Cook, after going off the back, look at him there, just working his way up towards the front of the group. Let's take a little bit of a hunt around. Here he goes. So Nicholas Cook from Hot Chili going back, pacing riders in. And then jumping in, just sitting about wheel number 10. And it's a pretty compact group now with Russ near the back. We're going back uphill again, and this is what is going to start to take its toll on our riders as they come in and through. So at the moment, I think James Allen is about 5 seconds down, but that is the spread of the bunch is currently 5 seconds or so. Off the back, looks to me like Ian Russell, Andrew McInnes and Sonia Innesley are on the way through, and Sonia, you're going to get some company pretty soon. I think you're closing in on Andrew McInnes, and so Sonia Innesley, our rider who is currently sitting on the old climb, just making her way up onto the start of the climb here, a Petite KOM. Chasing McInnes. McInnes is just up the road, 18 seconds at the moment, and closing fast is Sonia Innesley. Sonia at 4.3 watts per kilo. McInnes here, which we're going to jump across to at 1.9. Then it's Ian Russell. Russell can just see the beacon going on its way up, but the back of the group, James Allen just patrolling at the back of the group here, and Allen, who's been our leader, and when Russ was out on holiday, just up on the back of the group. Then Phil Pearce, Matt Bostock, Russ Downing as we come up and through that KOM point, just coming round the turn. It's not going to be far off the top here for the riders up at the front. We're going to try and jump right the way up near the very front of the group here. Let's see who's leading it up here. It's easier said than done. Let's jump in with Rick van der Gate. Let's take a little bit of a look out from Rick. See how many riders are up in the front. Quite a few. And at the moment, Billy No Mate's not far off the front. He's definitely one of our regulars who can push the pace on up at the front. I think it's going to be Rocket Raccoon, the Italian rider, just riding up at the front. We're going to try and jump across in and see where he is. He's in with the leading group here. So Billy No Mate's, Rocket Raccoon, Beefy from Cycleways, who are just holding the pace at about 3.5 watts per kilo. They're not too far off. They're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns, 6. This is the 6th turn from the top of the climb. And just taking a little bit of a look back, Pearson's holding the front of the bunch at the moment. So Pearson holding the front. He's got Luke Stone sitting around about that 2.9 to 3 watts per kilo, which is what we're looking for. Cam Richardson is doing the same at the moment. And if we take a look up in the sky there, Richardson is in that Daylo Zwift jersey. Just in front of him is Jose K on the concept bike with the orange trim. At the moment, the rider's working well on the way in towards this next turn, just bringing the group in front, who just back the pace back off to the main group's pace, 2.9 to 3 watts per kilo. And just seeing the guys just holding their power on the way through, keeping that gap down, just keeping it backed off, not doing too much on the front. Mike Killingsworth holding him around this group as well. Gibbons is in here, Lone Rider's in here, Barry Kipling's in this group, looks like Ryan William Sitting in here now, easy over the top from Russ, and that's just to try and keep that group together. If we take a little bit of zoom out, we can take a look back. There are riders scattered all the way over the Petit KOM for the first time. We should be able to see those times that are coming in. Let's take a little bit of a look here. As the riders come up and through, it should just trigger as they come up and over. As you can see from the map, top right hand side, it is a few more turns to go. So coming around that turn. So the guys at the moment just riding up. It's a 5% climb on the way through. Still 3 corners to the finish. Not really hairpins on this climb. It's more of a mid-France style climb. If you're in the mid-France in the Aquitaine region or around L'Occitane or similar, you'll find most of the climbs have this kind of turn on them. It's not a hairpin as such, it's a quick turn on to another straight section, and it's not increasing in gradient, and you can power around them if you're going hard enough, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So up past the monument to go, and we're going to be heading on to the last 2 turns, and the straights getting closer and closer together towards the top of the climb. And you can just see this is the second to last one coming in at the moment. Billy Nomak's just ticking it along at the front. It looks like Dave Clark's not too far off there. Andy Hawes just rolling it around about just over 3, heading towards 4. Richardson's going to come up here. I think Richardson is looking to take the top of the climb. Is back with Richardson. He's the rider we've been focusing on. And I think Richardson has got his sights set on this KOM. I'm not sure he's going to do it this time, because I think next lap round this could be where Russ says go. If that's the case, it is going to be absolutely a brutal pace, and it is going to take that time. Into the banner he goes here. So first over the line is going to be Richardson, followed by Billy Nosemites, then Dave Clark, Andy Hawes, then Rocket Raccoon, James Reed, Phil Ozak. And coming through, and it's Richardson who's got the fastest time at the moment. 6:53 will be the time to beat. And Richardson coming from in the back of the group, but back towards the front now, guys. If you're listening in live, please, guys, back it off down to 2 watts per kilo on the front. Otherwise, the guys at the back are not going to get this group back together again. You're going to do a lot of waiting on the flat section. As you can see, we're coming down towards the Marina Sprint, and you see Richardson is backed right off here. Looks like the muscle mechanic doing exactly the same. That's what we want to see. 0 watts per kilo. Full marks to these guys on the front, because if we take a little bit of a look back, you can see it is all absolutely spread out. So remember, if you're anywhere near top 10 on this descent, please, guys, back it right off. Roll down. We're going to need to regroup as we head down into the marina, and you can see we're just working our way back through this group. Currently back with Ian Taylor from 1080, and going to jump in with Fraser at the moment, another of our regulars. Matt Bostock back once again on the group. Ted not too far away. It looks like these riders all steadily working their way down. James Allen near the back of the group, just going to take a jump back for Emma Collier. Looks like James has gone back. Now the back to front of the group at the moment, from Collier running up to the front. I think Collier at the back of the main group with James Allen at the moment. Now they're kicking out a good 3 watts per kilo at the back there as Collier comes on to Allen. Currently the time split is from Dave Wright at the front and Rocket Raccoon. It's 1:25. This group has got to compact down to pull that group back together, and this is 1:25. That split hasn't happened on the climb. It's happened as we've gone over the top and onto the descent. So if you're on the front, guys, we need you at 1 watt per kilo. 1 watt per kilo is the only way we're going to get a 1:23 gap on the way through, because without that, not going to get the front to come back. So that gap coming down, it's gone from 121, I think it's coming down to about 50 seconds at the moment. You're watching Collier and James Allen here working the way down there, and you can see Allen on the front end of 5 watts per kilo. Collier just trying to sit in that slipstream. This is great work by the two of them as they make the way down this descent. We're going to zoom out on the map. Let's have a little bit of a look where that group is. Let's get, if we can get them in there now. The pack with Russ down currently at 50 seconds, so that gap has come down. The guys on the front really are going to need to back off for that to come back together again. So guys on the front, we need you to back right the way off down to about 1 watt per kilo. The guys are chasing hard on the back. You can see it's yo-yoing as the profile changes. And we've got James, last week's leader at the moment, who's gone back. Ted is just up the road. He's about 44 seconds up the road. We're going to take a little bit of a look as we go through the routes. What we'll find as the route stubs come in from other routes, it will flick our time gaps out a little bit. We're going to let it just settle itself back down again. So just taking a look on that 3D as they come back into the group, still working hard here. It's Allen and Collier now. Remember, these are the guys who were just going over the top of the climb. And the descent, well, it suits the big guys like me. If you're 85 kilos, you don't have to come downhill pretty quick. Just in front of Allen and Collier, you've got Ted and Sam Emsley here. And Emsley is sitting in here with Ted. And I think these two riders know that if they pick up James, and they will be a little bit quicker getting back on again. So Sam Emsley at the moment is in a duo there. Let's see where they're at. Now Kent Brownlee's just in front. I think Kent is going to see these guys coming in pretty quickly. I'm sure Kent will be planning on jumping in with the group, currently sitting at 1.5 watts per kilo. So as we go under the line, those time gaps are coming down here, and Collier and Allen are working hard. Meanwhile, Ted is on his way. Andrew Edmond and Sam Emsley going to pick up Kent. Kent, put the power on. That's it, lad. So Kent's just kicking in to jump into this duo here. This has become 3, now 4, because I think they're going to pick up the rider Oxenham's in this group. Ted is in here. Allen and Collier are the two, the leader off the back. They are bringing those gaps down. They've got it down to 30 seconds to the back of the main bunch here. They're going to need to give it a good kick to Struan and McInnes, but they're working well here. And gotta say, James Allen and Emma Collier are on one of the chase backs. They need some help though back there, and I think Simon Oxenham has dropped even further back. He has. Look at this. This man's an absolute hero. Simon Oxenham dropping back. You can see he's going to pick them up. James Allen and Emma Collier coming up on towards Simon Oxenham. And this is what you do if you're strong. We don't care if you've got the power to get off the front. What we want to see is you dropping back and picking up the riders behind. And that's what Oxenham's doing. Brilliant riding here by Oxenham. Comes back, starts to pull the pace up nice and smoothly there, and he's going to be watching the numbers on the right hand side of the screen. He's watching to see his power, which is currently 5.5 on the front, doesn't go too hard and drop Allen and Collier, who are sitting in the slipstream here. It's 0%, remember. They've 43 seconds to go. Now, can Oxenham be the locomotive that's going to pull this train back in front of them? Not too far behind our leaders. Ted is working his way up now. He's got Miller, he's got Russ Downing, I think, just dropping back here. So Russ is coming back off the group. Barry Kipling is in no man's land at the moment, just waiting for these guys to come forward. Russ is backed right off to 0 watts per kilo there, kilogram, just to let this group come on now. This group is that coming up onto Russ is not the group that's chasing the Collier, Oxenham and Allen group. They're going to be working the way in. Remember, there's no way that it's going to be let go until they've gone. Now, Russ is going to see this group go through. Is he going to let them just go steaming past? I think he has. He certainly has. Look at this. They've gone through and past, and Russ is dropping back. Brilliant. So Russ now dropping back, and as you can see, Russ is going to be putting the brakes on. He's going to drop back. 16 seconds to Oxenham, 16 seconds or so to James Allen and Emma Collier. And if Russ times this right, just picks them up at the right point, with Russ, Oxenham, Allen and Collier together, I think they really are going to start pulling that front group. So the front group needs to back right down, because the gaps are definitely opening up on the front. So if you're on the front, guys, put the brakes on. We want to keep it sub 2 watts per kilo. 2 watts per kilo, please, on the front if you're listening live. I'm sure one of our riders at the front can relay that to the rest of the riders. And the reason the front tends to pick up is quite simply because riders get scared. They don't want to be distanced off the back. However, if you're a strong rider, you'll be able to get yourself back on and move. We've always got riders prepared to go back. You've seen Oxenham go back, you've seen Allen go back, and now look at this. This is a Russ Downing dropping back here. He's got to keep an eye on it. Remember, guys, this is where you've got to watch the screen. You've got to watch the riders behind. It's no good being super powerful and dropping everybody off the back of your wheel. It's all about working at the pace of a rider behind. This is what riding on the chain gang teaches you. If you've been out and you've got a rider who has a problem, you drop off the back of the chain gang, you pull them back on again. That teamwork, that working as a domestic, is what is absolutely critical. Now you see them coming back. Phil Pearce has gone back to pick up the riders as well. Smithson's come back to pick them up, and this is now going to become a bigger group. If we take a little bit of a look, you can see this group now. We've got Oxenham. This is a call of honour here. This is Oxenham. This is Downing, Collier, Allen, Smithson, Pearce, all working together, all about bringing these riders who just got a little bit of a gap opened on them as the riders at the front went over the top and didn't slam the brakes on too quickly, didn't slam them on quickly enough, that's for sure. Now I need to see where this gap comes back. Now they've got it down to 15 seconds. They've taken 1 minute 7 seconds off the deficit, and that's how fast that deficit opens as you go over the top of something like the Petite KOM on Zwift. As we watch, you can see them coming back. I think the Fat Cyclist is in this group as well. Let's jump in with him because he is one of our regular riders and he's always there doing the work. Here he is. As you can see, he's a bit of an incredible hulk in his green there. Fat Cyclist is 100 kilos by his own admission, and that means that is a big ask if he's not careful on the climbs. But he's gone back, he's worked hard, he's pulling these riders back. Now where is Collier? She needs to be sitting in with this group. This has become a bigger group here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 riders, including Russ Downing, including Matt Bostock. These are the guys who get it, and there's a reason that these boys are pros. They know exactly how to ride, how to bring riders back in. Looks like Jules is dropped back here as well, trying to get the group back on again. Now what can happen is you can distance riders as you just come in to the rest of the group. You start to pick it up, and Russ just needs to be a little careful as he comes in through here. He can see as they come in towards the back, the group has got to get back in. All of the group, there's 1 or 2 gaps behind it that are still in excess of 6 meters, and we say the 6 meters because that is the absolute critical gap. You can just see on this pack those gaps are going to open right up. We're just going to try and keep dropping back through this group here. So in with Emma, Phil Pearce and James Allen, and if they're not careful, they're going to find that gap opens back up again. They're at 7 seconds, 6 seconds at the moment, and Phil Pearce, James Allen continuing this onwards. James Allen doing a great job here, and they're working to bring this gap down, but the guys on the front think everything's back together and they've put a hammer down again. So that gap's still hovering at about 6 seconds. Phil Pearce working hard here in this group, and you can just see as they go over the bridge, they're just having to really put the pressure on now. They're just about going to get on here, I think, as we come over the bridge, and the gap has opened. What happens is as the riders come on, if people put the hammer down too early, they're not going to bring them back. Oxenham being paced on here by Phil Pearce, so it's Oxenham, Allen and Collier doing a absolutely stunning ride there to get themselves back on the group, and that is what we want to say. So group needs to compact up, become a big packed group. That's how the group gets fast times through sprints. That's how everybody's there. The riders who've just got on need to push into the front, and let's see just how the guys are able to come up into the group. Well, we're watching Phil Pearce still leading this group through as we make our way around Mont Saint Michel just in the distance, and you see how hard it is doing the work to pull riders back on. That's the guys who are absolutely superb. If you've been waiting, if you've been helping in the group at the front, keeping the pressure down, thank you very much, guys. Really do appreciate it. I know it can be frustrating at times because if you're like me, the downhills are where you can get some time back, but we need to try and keep it together. Obviously Russ is not going to give too much distance to people as we run in. Remember, we're going to be going out. It is 0.5 on the running. We've got the 46k as we come through. Russ just going to be rocketing his way in through the group, I think, on his way in. Here he comes up towards the front. So Russ just rolling up to the front, backing off the pressure, and he's going to tick that group along, and you can see as they go over the bridge and head out the France paying host to the Donny Chengang. Once again, we'll say a massive thank you to everybody who's made it possible for this to happen all the way through lockdown, through the some of this group starting to get a little bit more compact. We can zoom in a bit. It's always nice to see. Well, there we go. Russ has said the words. It's go, 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 go. And already there's a flyer gone. And I think it is right on the front from Hot Chili, who thinks he's going to try and get a march on everybody else. Are they going to leave him out there to dry? It's going to be very interesting. We've hit the 31k to go. And here we go. He's absolutely been absorbed back in again. You can see he's disappearing back in. And I think his... charge off the front has melted faster than a soft French cheese in the hot sun at the side of a Tour de France picnic. That is for sure. The quick attack there not working, and that quick go 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 from Russ. Let's see what damage it's doing. A little bit further back, riders just start to be distanced now from the group as the hammer goes down. Who can stay with it? This is really going to do some damage behind now. Right, who is on the front? Now heading in towards the back. We're going to jump back in. These riders are having to do something near to 4 watts per kilo. Matlock doing 4.3 to stay in with this group. Behind it looks like Kent Brownlee, Bradley Atkinson, Rebecca Dawes just feeling the pace here because it's gone on the flat. A smaller, lighter rider like Dawes can't kick out this watts. She's kicking out 220 watts, but she's probably doing something in the region. Yeah, 4.2 watts per kilo for Dawes. So Dawes is kicking out over 4 watts per kilo, but she can't stay with the group because on the flat, when you've got no gravity to pull you back, that is when it all goes hard. However, we're coming on to some of the rises and falls, and if Rebecca Dawes can start to just keep this pressure on, keep around about that 4 watts per kilo, she's going to find the riders are going to get back in again. So we're going to see they're coming off the front. Looks like Rich Orrell and Brownlee could be the first of the riders in her sights. Can she get some of these guys back in again? Just seeing, I think Brownlee doing little loops up in front. Somebody definitely went off piece there behind Stevens. Working hard now. Can he get to Dawes here? Stevens doing 2.6 watts per kilo. They're on the flat, and he's Warsaw working hard to try and get himself in with Dawes. Collier just at the back. We've got Inslee and McInnes as well now. Rebecca Dawes trying to close down on Brownlee. Brownlee can see the beacon up in the front. Russ sitting in with this group. Let's jump into the sky. The group is pretty much all together. It's going to come up and over the bridge. And if we take a look back this long straight, you can just see 1 or 2 riders, but across the river we go. And this group still compact together. Looks like Matt Bostock on the front, really putting some pressure on there. Can these guys stay with him? Andy Bishop mid-pack at the moment. Paul Waddington moving up to the front. Russ just sitting comfortably in that pack at the moment. He's using the draft at the moment as they make their way up this straight. So let's take a little bit of a zoom out. We have got riders in 2s and 3s behind. So it looks like Kent Brownlee's going to have to try and grab himself a group. Who's he going to get in that group? Well, Rich Orrell is at 2 seconds behind. You can see that's the man in black chasing on. You can see Orrell trying to work his way into Brownlee. I think Brownlee's going to wait for him to come up. He knows that he needs to work together. Now, Dawes and Stevens are working hard, and they're separated at the moment. A few seconds between them. Now, Dawes has 11 seconds to Orrell. At the moment, 17 seconds to Orrell and Brownlee. That's a big ask at the moment. Stevens is sitting just behind Russ, and the pack are in front. And if we jump in with the back of the pack, let's see who's in that danger zone at the moment. It is Lone Rider. Rider kicking on at 3.2, but that gap has opened, and that's more than that 6 metres. Remember, 6 metres is critical. 3 bike lengths. Out of those 3 bike lengths, you can see at the moment the man on that green concept bike chasing the back of the pack. He's working hard here. Can he pull the group back in together? Can he get on the back? It's stretching. It's at 2 seconds now. So we're at 34 kilometres, 52 minutes in. And I think Ryder now is going to find it too hard to get back in. It's gone to 4 seconds, 5 seconds. 32 seconds behind him is Brownlee. You can see now the watts have come off. He's down to 2.7 watts. He's going to wait, I think, for Orrell and Brownlee to come. Then it's going to be Dawes and Stevens, and Collier and Inslee behind now. Let's take a little bit of a look up here. Who's going to be our next victim? Sorry, next rider to fall. So we make our way up the straight here. Nobody pinging off the front of the group, not in any meaningful way anyway. As we take a look, Julesy just hovering around the danger zone. Trevor Crehan in there, Lone Rider now at 12 seconds and drifting. You can't see him behind the group. As we make our way up here, Mike Salkeld not too far off the back as well, and the pressure's gone back on the front once again. We're going to be coming in towards the sprint, and this sprint is going to be quick. The question is, who is going to be taking that sprint as they come in and through? Now, I think my money might well be on Nicholas Cook. Let's jump in with Cook at the minute. He's sitting in there on third wheel. That's a bit of a difficult position to take that sprint. Darrell Clark not too far behind. We're just taking a little bit of a look down now. Is Cook going to drop back a little bit? He can't afford to go too far in case it opens out right. So through they go. Now you can see we're in onto the run, in towards that sprint line. We're going to be taking the turns. Here we go. This is the run out for the sprint. And already one rider trying to go off the front here, but the watts are coming in, the kicks are coming in. Is Cook going to respond to this? Russ Downing has gone after Darrell Clark at the moment. Clark has gone as well. And Russ goes through. Is anybody going to better the time? Looks like Cook taking his time up. He's now into 15th place. Andy Hawes is the man who has the top spot on the Pavé Sprint Reverse. Andy, absolute star. Great riding by Andy Hawes there. And Andy taking the green jersey. We're going to jump in with Andy. He has got the men's green jersey here. The question is, can he hold on to it as we jump off that pavé? Because this is going to get tricky. We're up in the sky, and you can see it is one long line. That sprint really has wound things out. But Andy Hawes is our sprint leader. He's got the fastest time there. Absolutely flying. Good ride by Andy to take that time with a 21.63 seconds. And that is a very quick time indeed. Now let's jump in with the riders. They come just around the side here. Andy's working hard here. Now we're going to jump in with James Allen. We've seen him before at the back, but guess who is up on the front? James Allen. This is why we know he's a strong boy. He's been off the back. He's now up onto the front. 1%, but we're coming in here now, up in towards the KOM, the Aqueduct KOM. It's a reverse one, remember. It's 400 metres long in total. And at the front, who is going to pull this clear? The timer to beat on the Aqueduct to the reverse KOM. It is Ian Russell who's got the time to beat. Who's going to take this away? They're all massing on the front here. You can just see it's going to get tough. The riders know there's not long to go. Alan comes back on again. Oxenham, who was off the back not all that long ago, with Alan just pulling on the riders now. Up on the front, through the line they go, and Alan is really starting to kick on here. He's up at nearly 8 watts per kilo. He's starting to get the riders behind, and can they pull him back here? We're out across on the side, heading up towards the aqueduct, and that gap is opening. Alan is starting to open a time gap on the rest of the riders. They're working hard here to close him down, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to do this as they come round this turn. You can see Alan has the gap on all the rest of the riders here, and it looks like Clark is going to try and pull him back. Can Alan go through and take this jersey? They came up really quickly there. Through he goes. Russell's time with 50.7 has been smashed to pieces by Alan, but Clark behind him takes it, and it's Clark with a 32.03 who is going to take away the polka dot jersey for the Aqueduct Kara in reverse. That is our rider here in the blue, and good to see Clark yet again doing the business. Darryl Clark, one of our regular riders, absolutely phenomenal in the sprint, and clearly a great power to weight ratio now, and these two are going to keep pushing onwards and make everybody work hard behind. If you take a little look at the map, if we zoom out a little bit, you can see the damage that's been done. There are ones and twos behind. These two riders at the moment have a gap to Richardson. Richardson leading this charge behind, but this is a very select bunch of about 20 riders at the moment. Behind them, they are in ones and twos. And as these groups are trying to chase on this descent, let's take a look at who is in trouble behind. I think Ryan Williams could well be one of our riders who's just been distanced a little bit here. We're in with Williams. He's on the back of the group. He's made it back in as they've come on to this descent here. Now as they go down, remember it was James Allen who was our leader along with Darryl Clark. They still have a slight gap up on the very front, but it is slight indeed. In fact, I think they're now just about all together. They are indeed. This is the front group. As the front group come in and through. Let's get you a total of names. It looks like it's going to be 8, 16, 24, just shy of 30 names in that front group at the moment. Now, Dave Raynham, I think, is going to be the rider who's just out the back of this group. It is Dave Raynham taking a little bit of a gap on him at the moment. It's 6 seconds to Oxham, 7 seconds behind him. You're going to see the riders are coming. He's got a good group coming up here because this contains Matt Bostock and Wright as well. So this is a class group. They let the gap go on the climb, on the sprint in. Now they're going to try and close the gap down. And at the moment you can just see as they come in and through, this group is going to need to work together. Matt Bostock, we've got our man from the VTTA. He's going to be loving all the time trials at the minute. Matt Bostock up the road. And looks like our riders really are working hard here to try and pull that gap back. Gibbons in here. We've got Rigby in this group as well. Lindley is off the back. So Rigby Wright. Dave Wright in there. Dave Raynham. Looks like Mark Gibbons is in there. Matlock's in there. Matt Bostock in there. But that gap is now at 9 seconds. So I think that is gone. I don't think they're going to be pulling that gap back. So Group 1. Up at the front, this is group number 1. You can see the riders are working the way around at the moment. So this is the leading group. This is group 1 on the road, and as you can see, we're down to about just under 30 riders. So it's 27 riders in that group at the moment. They have a gap of 15 seconds to Karl Kapinski. And we're just going to drop across. We're just going to double check that is the case. Now Carl is definitely in this group here as well. Just our screen's just the timing just playing up a little bit as we jump in and through from the leading group who are making the way out and round, and the time screen is making it just a little bit difficult for us to drop back across. Remember, we're going to be sprinting out for the orange banner at the bottom as we come in and through. So 18 seconds back from group number 1 to Matt Bostock's group. This is group number 2. You just see the beacon up in front. 12 seconds is the gap. Bostock, the man from the VTTA. Matlock, cyclist in there. Rigby in this second group. Wright is in this group. Gibbons is in here. Raynham is in here. Behind them then, this is pack number 3. And it's going to take a double check now. So pack number 1, we've got to try and drop a little bit further back to get pack 3 on the course. It is quite similar because the time is jumping about at the moment. Now, if I'm right, Linley is in Group 3. This is indeed Group number 3 at the moment. So Group 1 with Russ Downing all compact together at the front. Group number 2 with Matt Bostock at 18 seconds from the leaders. And Bostock is looks like he's been dropped off the group. Is he trying to get across? I think he is. Look at this. Bostock is making his way across from Group number 2. So Group 2 can see him. Bostock has put the power down. He's at 7.7 watts per kilo. Is this going to be a chase back from Bostock to the front group? No. He's on his way. And do they want one of the best sprinters we've seen for a long time in the country coming up to the riders in front? He's got 7 seconds now. Come on, Matt. Give it a big kick now. And he just dropped down a little bit there, just losing a little bit of time with that little dropout. I think he realises he can't get across. He's going to come back into towards Group number 2. It doesn't look very far from the back of this group. Looking back to Bostock, he's the single figure just coming into the tree line at the moment. But it is just going to be too far as these riders come through. You can see the back of the lead group now starting to get separated. Adi Dench in trouble at the back of the group. Tom Parsons just about hanging on in here. Andy Bishop, a rider that Parsons will know well, just in front of him. Now remember, the riders are now on to the Petite KOM. The time of the Petite KOM is in Russell 6 minutes 15. Parsons is 6th place overall on this last time around. We're going to see if he can beat it this time. But the back of the group is splintering. Jose K has gone. Dench has gone. Matlock leading the charge behind. He has got Bostock on his wheel. Raynham Gibbons. Wright is being distanced. It looks like Rigby being distanced. Lindley. He's in Group number 3 on the road and he's leading Group 3. But I don't think they are going to get across. And now big group here with Fletcher, Luke Taylor, John Pearson. It looks like Foster is in this group as well. So Michael Hutchins, Coos looks in Group number 3 as we go up on to the climb. But our leaders are now starting to approach the very top. And Darrell Clark on the front, I think it is at the moment, just keeping it wound up. We're going to focus in on this group now into the finish because it's going to be very, very quick off the top. We'll then drop back through the groups and let's see where everybody is as we come around to complete this lap for the second time. Now, Stuart McInnes, the man who was off the back helping riders on, coming on to the front. We got Cam Richardson in the high vis, the pink and Dayglow outfit. Russ in the grey coming up on to the front here. Phil Pearce is in the green, just on the side out of the saddle, bobbing up and down at the moment. Pearce moving up. Russ Dolby in this group as well. Nicholas Cook is in here. The fat cyclist is holding in here well, dragging his 100 kilos. Now as they go hauling his carcass over the summit of the Ventoux. That was the name, the description from the legendary Phil Liggett for Eros Poli as he went up over the top. Now an attack from Richardson. He's gone for it here. He's up at 8.3 watts per kilo. Can they respond to this? Stuart McInnes starting to pick it up behind. You can see feathers coming in. A reduction of 10% in weight. That's 10 kilos for the fat cyclist. It could be less than 5 for some of our younger, lighter riders in the group. But at the moment, Richardson is really holding his power down. Look at these numbers coming out. 8 and 9 watts per kilo consistently on his way up here. He's got 3 more turns to go on his way in towards the top of the climb. We're going to have to drop in on the drone camera. Behind him, Stuart McInnes and Darrell Clark are trying to close him down. Now, if Richardson gets over the top with a gap, can he hold it into the finish? Can Clark and McInnes close him down? They can't let this gap go. It's 2 seconds here, but we saw what happened last time. 2 seconds can become a minute just in the blink of an eye as you go over the top. And look at the speed. He's absolutely hammering around here now. He's back up. He dropped to 7.2. The gap was coming down to a second with Darrell Clark kicking on hard. Did Richardson go too early here? Because Clark is coming across and they've got a gap. This is 11 seconds back to Phil Pearce and Russ Downing group as they go through. Richardson's going to go over the top there. So Richardson comes through 6 minute 50. What was that all about? 4 minutes 41 seconds for Richardson. 4 minutes 41.4 for Clark, and Stuart McInnes with the 4:42. Surely the leaders at the moment with that gap to Russ Downing are going to make this stick. We're looking to see the riders come into sight behind them on this long distance. We get a decent view back And I think we're just about seeing the beacon. And that's Russ in that leading group. Just come round the corner. But they have a gap at the moment. And it is 30 seconds nearly to the chasing pack here. So at the moment, it is Richardson and Clark who are leading the group down here. Now, Richardson is in the high vis, in that fluo strip there, in the blue. This is Darrell Clark just moving on to the front. Now, look at this. Stuart McInnes has come in and joined this pack. Stuart is in the group here. And he's riding strongly in the light blue. So Stuart McInnes in the blue. Cam Richardson in the fluo strip there. And then it's Darrell Clark who comes through. Two of our polka dot jerseys are in here. It's just a green jersey we don't have. That is Andy Horse, who has taken one of our green jerseys. That is the Pave Sprint on the way through. And what is the gap back to James Allen? It's 27 seconds. This is going to be a big bunch sprint, or as much of a bunch sprint as we're going to see. Allen in here, Phil Pearce is in here. Looks like Paul Waddington, Jono's in here. The fat cyclist has been distanced out of this group, so the big man has been spat out the back. So Jono, Phil Pearce, Nicholas Cook from Hot Chili, James Allen in here, and I think it is going to be right in this group. But the front riders now at 21 seconds away, and it's not going to be long before they get themselves down onto the very bottom of the hillside. Russ is saying they can catch them. Not for 22 seconds. Russ, I'll buy you a pint if you can catch these boys, because they are absolutely flying. So here we go. Stuart McInnes, Cam Richardson, Darrell Clark. They're at 17 seconds. 16 seconds from Russ. The push is on behind. They're going to try and close this gap down. It's my pint. So you can see them coming. I might have to buy Russ a pint here. Come on, lads. Time to pick this up. You cannot let them get back on again. You went over the top with a gap that was an enforceable gap. They're down into town. You can see they're coming, and you can see the banner's going to come. Let's get it on that 3D view. I think this is going to give us the shot. First of all, they cannot afford to do any finessing at the moment. Truly, in true Tour style, you've got the bunch coming behind. You've got a bunch of good sprinters coming behind. 3 breakaways who went over the top of the climb with a 23-second gap, and now down to 15 seconds. And Russ is going to need to get some help here. Dolby's jumping on with him. Allen's jumping on. But they don't want to burn too much energy, because they could just end up outside the top 10 out of that group. We're at 14 seconds, but the time is ticking down. They're coming down past the start entry, and we've not got far to go before they're going to get themselves into the sprint. You can just about see the banner is coming. What's the gap? It's at 12 seconds. I'm not sure they're going to pull them back. These 3 are working hard at the moment, but the chasing pack behind are at 7 watts per kilo, while leading group at between 5 and 6 watts per kilo, and that's why the gap's down. It's down to 10 seconds now. 10 seconds at the moment from Stuart McInnes and from Darrell Clark. These riders are looking good on the way through, but you can see that pack at 8 seconds. 8 seconds now. Who is going to get this? It is so close. They've got one more turn to make. I think they're going to get this. They're going to go directly up above them. They're coming there at 6 seconds now, but the kick is coming at the moment, and it looks to me like Richardson is going to go take this. We're going to jump across to Richardson. Here he goes. He's in and underneath the line. He uses that power. Richardson comes through, taking victory from Darrell Clark. Then it's Stuart McInnes behind. It's going to be a Waddington who came through, I think, leading the bunch sprint in there, with Russ and the gang all coming through together. We're going to drop back to our next group who are heading in. We knew it was going to be very quick. This is why we've got the overrun on the kilometres in as we make our way in. This is going to be the next 4 riders into those last few hundred metres here. As they come into the bend, who's going to take this as they go through? Ryan Williams is the rider on the front who's kicking hard in the blue. I think Ryan Williams, the youngster's going to get this. Ryan Williams it is who gets the kick on his way through. Then it is Miller, Doughty, and the fat cyclist coming through as well. Now we're going to jump back to Oxenham. Oxenham working hard here, massively going for it, and Oxenham is leading out Thornley. It looks like Thornley is going to come in behind Cal Kapinski, putting in a big push. So Kapinski comes in 3rd place. So Thornley comes through there. Kapinski working hard. And looks like this is our next group. They're coming in thick and fast. This is what he did. It shelled riders out at the front. Tom Parsons, the big man, He's going to take this. Is he going to do it? Oh, just rolled on the line there by Andy Bishop. Bishop taking it there from Parsons. Dench backing off as he comes through now. We're going to drop back. I think Gimmo is going to be our rider sat in the middle at the moment. Dench coming through that group in front. This means Gibbons should have a relatively straightforward run to the line because the chasing duo behind, in fact trio behind, are at 19 seconds. So Gibbons is going to come through. So our next rider in and through the line, looking good here, and well done to Gibbo, hanging on for a long time. Behind it is Rigby at the moment. He's got the man from the VTTA with him as well. We're going to jump up in the sky. So we're watching Rigby in the blue, but look who's coming. He's gone straight over the top of him here, and it is going to be Matlock who's going to take this. Matlock comes in. So Matlock is going to go underneath the banner. It is Matlock who goes through, followed by Rigby, and then it's the man from the VTTA. Behind them right is going to be our next rider, who's going to come in. I think he's going to hold off the chasing bunch. They're being led by Lindley. Is he going to hold him? Oh, he just takes it. So Lindley holds them off there. And you could see this massive pack chasing him into the line, containing Sam Emsley, Altaf Hussein as well. Some of our riders looking very, very quick indeed. Now, we are just going to try and jump in with our riders that come in now. We've got Osman on his way into the line at the moment alongside Salkeld. Salkeld is the rider in the black here. Osman in the blue. Behind them, I think it's the man from Barnsley, but who's your money on in this sprint? Is it going to be Osman? Is it going to be Salkeld's going to be very interested in this between these two riders as they work their way in. We're going to try and jump out and away from the crowds as they go over the line. It's Osman from Salkeld. Then it is going to be, I think, the man from Barnsley behind then, Chris from the Alliance MTB, and Ian Taylor with Barry Kipling in this group, and Mike Killingsworth not too far behind. But these are riders coming in together. Let's see if anybody's got a push. I think Taylor's going to lead them through. Taylor does lead them through as they came through that time. So Taylor coming through. Chris from the Alliance MTB, Barry Kipling coming through behind them. Then Hayward just leading through this next group of Killingsworth, Beefy, Muscle Mechanic, trying to chase them, not quite getting on here. As Beefy, Killingsworth and Hayward went through, then it's the Muscle Mechanic who's got a decent gap now behind him. He can see the liner coming up here. So our man from the Muscle Mechanic working well to keep clear of Clough, who is behind at the moment. So in underneath the gantry goes Clough now on the run. In behind him is going to be Julesy, Bradley Atkinson, Rich Orrell, Kent Brownlee, Lone Rider. And it's going to be Rebecca Dawes, the women's points, the polka dot jersey leader. Andy Hawes, after that fantastic sprint on the pave, clearly his legs have well and truly gone pop. But we're just watching Clough now making his way up to the line here. Clough it's going to be as he makes his way in towards the line. Great riding as he comes in to finish the riding in underneath the gantry. He goes in front of Julesy, who's on his way and just burning up that last draft. He can't draft anybody, but he's going to get rid of it so he can pick another one up on the way through. He knows that he may well pick up some XP points. If he can get rid of the draft before he goes in the line, the XPs will total up on top. So Julesy, our next rider on his way in. Great riding by Julesy. And he's going to come in clear of Atkinson. Here's Atkinson now on his way into town. You can just see on the map at the top, it's got a little bit of a gap between Orrell and the lone rider at the moment. Now looks like Orrell and the lone rider, the two riders behind. They're currently at 13 seconds behind. So Atkinson looking good at the moment. So he's going to be into the line next. Just hits that green beacon of the start of the sprint. I think he's going to roll it in at about 3.3 watts per kilo as he makes his way in towards the line. And it looks like Rich Orrell and the lone rider just distancing Tiger Brownlee. That's Ken Brownlee as they come in towards the line. So underneath the gantry goes Atkinson, and it's going to be Orrell and the lone rider who are going to be sprinting this out. They're not going to get caught here We're going to follow Rich Orrell in. I'm not sure he's going to be leading it in though, because as we come up towards the line, it is going to be the Lone Rider. Lone Rider taking it from Orrell on the line behind. It is going to be Kent Brownlee who comes in across the line. Brownlee is just coming in, chasing hard behind now. We've got Rebecca Dawes, Andy Horse, Trevor Crehan working hard behind. So this is Dawes now on her way in. Remember, this young rider just getting distanced by the power of the riders in front. Rebecca Dawes was doing 4.2 watts per kilo when she was distanced by riders doing 2 watts per kilo, because on the flat it's about outright power. You can be as light as you want, but if it goes fast, it's all about sheer horsepower. It's about sheer watts, and that is where the big guys can score and the big guys can put it in. However, the moment it goes uphill, it is all about being light, about being efficient, and that power to weight ratio, that watts per kilo, is critical. Dawes now sitting up at 3.94 watts per kilo on her way in towards line. She goes through the green beacon, the start of the sprint, in towards the line on the reverse marina sprint here. At the men's sprint, on the pavé sprint, Andy Horse on the way in. Horse is going to be on his way in very quickly. In fact, here he comes. So Horsey's around the corner. Is he going to hold Crehan off on the line? Horsey comes in, and as they come into the line under the gantry to go, it is Andy Horse followed by Trevor Crehan. Then it's going to be Mr. Stevens. He's I think our last rider out on the course. I'm going to double check that. So Stevens is on his way in. A very brutal day out in France today. I know a number of riders have been distanced very early on and taking a proper packet on the way around there, and that is just the nature of this course. I think it is a very, very tough course. So, first day in France, first time visiting Casse. Fantastic riding from our riders. Great to see so many riders putting in really, really good ride, and well done to everybody who made it to the finish, because today, and that's an achievement in itself, a lot further than normal as our riders come in and through to the finishing line. And of course, much tougher with some big climbs in there. 2.7 petite KOM, as well as the Aqueduct KOM, the 2 sprints in the pavé and the reverse marine sprint, 2 big laps. We're back in France on Thursday. We're going to be here for the RGV. Do your homework, get on the Swift Insider, have a look, see what bikes are the best to ride on the course. In the meantime, don't forget, get on the Facebook page, get on and tell us how it went tonight, what you thought of the course, what you thought of the riders with you, who was doing the work, who needs a special mention maybe next time on commentary. Don't forget, of course, you can get in touch with Russ at Downing Cycling, with myself, Matt, at fullspeedevents.com, and don't forget, of course, support the people who support the Chain Gang. They're the guys who look after Russ out on the road, people like Halo and Pinarello, and of course people like OTE who keep us fueled up, keep the old vocal cords running, to the guys at Grand Tour Coffee who keep the old energy levels up. Really needed that this morning. Thank you very much. I had a ride to do today. This kept me going pretty much all the way around, and quick one when I got back as well. Massive thank you to the guys up at Zwift, because without them we don't have this fantastic platform to work with. And of course to all of the people who sponsored us over the course of the Chain Gang so far, including of course 1080, and we'll be telling you who in has chosen and who's come out the top as the best rider, the most improved, the one with the best story. And we're going to be doing that on Thursday when we've had a chance to read through all of those stories. And thank you everybody who's sent them in. It really is inspiring and keeps us going. Do you know what, we might not be getting paid for this, Russ and I, but it is great fun, and it is great to be able to put something back in the sport, and even better to hear your stories. I'm looking forward to next time when we're back in France on Thursday. Make sure you log on, subscribe to the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. For me, Matt Payne, au revoir. See you on Thursday.